Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody out there. Francisco, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, Jorge. Well, here we are one more week ready for our new topic of the week.
Okay, let's start with a little bit of music as usual, and then we will discover our topic.
Okay.
Well, as we said before, here we are again. Thank you, everybody, for your loyalty. And let's cover a topic this week that probably will help our listeners to understand a little bit more Spain. We're trying our best every single week to say things about Spain. And Francisco is going to discover what's the topic for this week in progress.
So, so you are so right, Jorge. For many chapters now, we have been talking about Spain, but of course, there's some literature that when you read it, you can guess what Spain is a little bit all about. And today we want to share with our listeners four books that we're not going to go over the books. We're going to tell you why you should read them because they represent one part of the essence of Spain today.
That's true.
We
But
are going to go,
we're not talking about modern books, are we?
well, yes and no. We're going to start, well, let's do it chronologically. Let's start from the very first book and let's go, chronologically in the time period when they were written. Okay.
Perfect.
So
Go ahead.
I want to start with El Lazarillo de Tormes,
Oh, yeah.
which is a book from 1554. Okay. It's a great book. And the Lazarillo de Tormes in English, it's the life and adventures of Lazarillo de Tormes, Tormes. This is 1554. Okay. It's the 16th century, 1500s is when Spain, we consider it the golden century. It's the moment where we are the empire. We have all the goods, everything. It's a moment of
That's right.
amazing literature, amazing paintings, sculptures. Spain is the
It
power.
was a boom of everything.
We were a boom of everything.
Yeah.
But when we talk about this time period in Spain, we always talk about the royals and the Inquisition, all of that. But we tend to forget commoners, normal people. And this book talks about this. Talks about Lazarillo de Tormes, who is a young kid who is poor, and he is going to go living his life through experiences because he's going to put himself under the order of different people. And it is a satire of
Yeah.
he works for a military, he works for a priest, he works for a lawyer, he works for all of these well-rounded, wealthy people who supposedly should be, the top of the quality of people in Spain at that moment. And here we see in this book that the one that is much more human, much more normal, much more in touch with reality, it is the Lazarillo.
Okay,
Okay?
Lazarillo, just for Francisco, if you don't mind me telling you, is a person who is a very old term, Spanish language. We
Mhm.
still use it, okay? Especially, just imagine one of those guide dogs for blind people.
Yeah. Mhm.
That is a Lazarillo dog. So it's like a guide man helping someone handicapped. In this case, is to a blind person, right?
So one of the people he works for is a blind person, and
Right.
he's the guide of that. But the name Lazarillo, the guide dog, the guide person, is not only for the blind character. He also guides the rest of the characters in the book. Okay,
Correct.
because he's gonna see what the priest does, and it's like, no, that's not right. So he's the more down to earth, but he has more knowledge about it, the
Mhm.
world. One of the things that I love about this book is that we don't know who wrote it.
Yeah, it's anonymous, isn't it?
It's an anonymous book
Yeah.
that when you put yourself in the 1500s, of course, you're not going to say who on earth wrote. I wrote it. Go Inquisition, go kill me. It's like, I was like, it is such a critique to Spanish society. The thing what it is a contemporary book. I mean, it is from 1500s, but it resonates a lot with us. It's one of those books that when you're in school, when you're in high school, it is under the ones in the list that you all Spanish kids have to read. And to me, the essence of it, it's the first book of picaresque. Is there a word in English for picaresque, Jorge?
Yeah, I think it is. I think no, it is. And it's mischievous attitude.
Okay, mischievous attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, new word of the day. But to me, what is picaresque? Picaresque is this thing that in Spain today we're very good, and I don't want to say improvising, but when something goes wrong, something that is unpredictable, something happens, Spain is the people who we can solve. Here, all around Spain, we do have huge factories. Many of them are German or Japanese.
Mhm.
And Germans and Japanese companies, by their mental structure, they do have everything planned.
Yeah,
And if
yeah,
there's
yeah.
this problem, this is the solution. If there's this problem, there's this solution.
Mhm.
But there are
Mhm.
some times when there's a problem
Just
unexpected
improvise.
and
Improvise.
you need to improvise. Well, we have proved many years now that when something like this happens in these big companies, the Japanese procedures or the German procedures, which are very standardized, they don't work. That's when the Spanish magic comes in. All of these Spanish engineers, out of the blue, it's like boom, 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 brainstorming. That is the essence of Spain, the magic of Spain. That's why a lot of companies want to come to produce in Spain because, yes, there's not going to be a problem, but of course, there's always something going on. And that's when Spain, boom, that magic happens. And
Happens.
the Lazarillo, I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I just feel very attracted to that book. First, when I read it at school, as you mentioned before, we all had to read that book at school. I didn't pay much attention to it, and I vaguely remember what year was that when I read the book, and especially because it part of the set not the acting of the book. He is working. This young man is working with a blind person. My mother, as everybody knows, she was blind since I was
So it
born.
should have resonated with you.
Yeah, but it didn't at the end. I mean, in those days, that's what I meant. But later on, when I reread that book, um, it was just like, wow, what didn't occur to me that thing when I was a kid, you know? It was what you said, that mischievous attitude, but it was harmless. It was harmless to anyone. It was just, okay, taking advantage of one situation in your favor, but without stealing, without hurting. It was just, okay, you're doing that on your favor. Why don't I get just a little chunk of that? You know, I remember a chapter of cheese, I think it was.
Yeah. But but
But
you're so, I mean, that is so Spanish. That is
yeah,
so much in our DNA that,
yeah,
a little bit, I don't want to say intriguing. At the end, it's for good. I mean, I also, I don't know if it happens to you also when you guide. It's like you're more alert of things going on around you. And all of those things that
oh
are
yeah,
around you, you
yeah,
bring them to the group for
yeah.
the best of
Oh, of course.
experience and everything. So
That's right. Yeah.
that's
Especially when you are
the
in an
key.
environment it's not familiar to you, and then it just happened through one street, and then you suddenly see something. I don't know. Right here in Madrid, for instance, you have some golden plaques on the ground, and if you're walking around, you don't notice. But those golden plaques, those were given by the city hall, meaning that those businesses are still under the same hand for generations and they're more than 100 years old. So if you just give those little details to the people,
Yeah.
they will understand much better why that thing is there. Some people might see it and say, oh, it's a golden plaque down in the on the ground, but that's it. No, it's much more
It's
behind
more
that.
than that.
And to me, that is the Lazarillo de Tormes. That, by the way, guys, Tormes is an arm of the Douro River, which is one of the big rivers in Spain, and all this area that Tormes covers. Tormes River covers is in the northern parts of Madrid, in the plateau, the northern plateau, not getting to the northern shore, just in the
Mhm.
central northern plateau. And that's where it happens near Avila, Salamanca. I think it covers also some parts of, if I'm not mistaken, province of Segovia. But anyway, it's in that area, the rural Spain, the real rural Spain at the time.
Let me say something about it.
Yeah.
Now that you're saying Avila, Segovia, all of these beautiful places in Spain, hey, if somebody wants to learn about them, guess what? Jorge has a tour that covers this area. Woo!
Yeah, that's right. It's called Madrid and Imperial Cities. Yeah. And yeah, very soon, if not by now, it's going to be scheduled for 2026 already. And yeah, I mean, we're not going to focus, obviously, on the book, but, part of the area is going to be seen on that tour. And thank you, Francisco, for mentioning that.
So you can find Jorge's tour in travelingwithjorge.com.
Thank you.
Anyway, Jorge, shall
Yeah.
we go for the second book?
Okay, why not? Let's go for it.
This first one is 1554. The second one is 1605.
Yes. And we're talking precisely about, under my opinion, I still keep saying it's the most translated and read book in history. Please forgive me those who might think that the Bible is, but I have my own theory for that perfect excuse just mentioning. Francisco, you know that.
It is the second most written, translated book in the world. The first one is the Bible. Second one, to me, is the Quijote.
Well, technically, um my opinion is that the book Don Quixote de la Mancha, written by Miguel de Cervantes, as you said, in 1604, um, is just one storyline.
Yeah.
2 volumes, but it's just one storyline. The Bible is a compendium of several books, all of them compiled in one big volume, but there are different authors about it. So
Okay, I'll buy it.
if we go strictly on the dictionary, okay, just a compendium of books is several books together, but
Okay.
several books.
Okay. Anyway, no matter if it's the first or the second most translated book
Okay,
in the world.
many people have learned that is the supposed to be the very first adventurous book ever written, in the way it was written. A very narrative, very explicit. The adventures of Don Quixote de la Mancha. Okay, just riding his horse, skinny horse Rocinante, going around with his mate Sancho Panza and the donkey Rufo. And we have talked about Don Quixote in one of our chapters here, but the intention of this podcast is to not only to recall a little bit that podcast, but also to remind you that this is a book that, together with the Lazarillo that we have just talked, and the other two we're going to talk about, there it is it's a way for you to understand what Spain is today. Okay, because Francisco, please correct me if I'm wrong. I have to when I have read the Don Quixote. We had to read Don Quixote at school. I was so boring.
Boring.
Yeah, but then when you get older and you get a bit wiser and you get to, and you want to know and understand some things, and especially a jewel of world literature, which is the book Don Quixote de la Mancha. How many movies have been done? Endless. How many? I mean, even a musical, right?
Musical, Men of Mancha, you have
Yeah,
TV
essays
shows,
and
you have
everything.
cartoons, you
And
have
yeah,
movies.
so it must be because of a reason behind that. So when you reread that again, at least I discovered a couple of things. There is to me there are three points of view in that book. One is the main character, Don Quixote, that he lives in his dreamland, okay, and he believes that everything is wine and roses, and he's following a project just to defend the innocent, etc., etc. But Francisco, that is not the reality, isn't it?
Well, but you have the other side. You say the sidekick, Sancho Panza, the
That's right.
reality.
Sancho Panza is to me, is the reality. Is the person like the book that we have just talking about, Lazarillo. He's a man with his feet on the ground, just
Mhm.
living the reality. So Sancho Panza is the one who's always correcting Don Quixote, is the one who's trying to make him see the reality as it is, and also represents the majority of the population. Okay. Besides that, there is a hidden character down there that is, under my opinion, my humble opinion, of course. I'm not a critic, literary critic or anything like that, nor expert. This is just my very personal opinion. That is Dulcinea del Toboso. You know,
Mhm.
is that
The
lady
love.
that Don Quixote is always thinking of, and his lover is waiting for him after all his adventures. But there is Sancho Panza. But at the same time, that third hidden storyline I find in the whole book, it is something that I don't know, Francisco, you'll be surprised or not, but it's about the writer, Miguel de Cervantes himself.
Hmm.
And you know that he battled. He was a warrior
As a soldier.
in the Battle of Lepanto against the Ottoman Empire, and he survived. And he came back from that battle handicapped with one arm, totally, useless. So after that, he wrote many things. One of those was this adventures book called Don Quixote, and I see some of the storylines like if it was a real battle. So he probably had reflected his experience as a soldier, placing it in the mind of a person that is something that is not in reality, but has his dreams and his targets to do. What do you think about that?
Well, I never thought about that point of view. Now I guess I have to reread the book again with that view. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, that point of view that sometimes is not. I mean, Dulcinea del Toboso doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
It's all in his brain.
There's
In
many.
Don
There's
Quixote's.
some theories over there that probably was a lady in some town,
Yeah,
but no, there's nothing proven.
but it's his love thing. So maybe that's a way to interpret his life. Well, I never thought about it. But I don't know if, I mean, to me, the Quixote, it's more, it represents, and that's why it's so actual for today, because it represents the true Spain, that creative, crazy minded Don Quixote de la Mancha, which is going to be, I would like to say the geniuses in Spain, people like Picasso or Dali or Cervantes, all of these out of the box people. Okay. But then, as you said, the more of Spain, it's Sancho Panza, more settled, more maybe. I mean, Sancho Panza is controlled by his earthly delights. He's very, too much into food
Yeah.
and women, and eh, but that's pretty much also Spain. Spain is a lot about food, but also there's a sparkling of Quixote. So to me, the greatness of Quixote, it's that mixture of the two Spains,
Mm.
that
Yeah,
creative moment of
absolutely.
Spain,
Yeah.
but that grounding also.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. So, oh, by the way, we have a chapter of this podcast that is about Don Quixote, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
have one about Don Quixote, and we have a
Yeah.
special about Cervantes himself. So, hey,
Oh, that's
wanna
true.
learn about
Yeah.
it?
I mean, so many that we have now that now you have to scratch a little bit the
I was
heart
like,
out.
oh, did we do that topic? Yeah, we did. Okay,
Okay, yeah, let's go with the third book, please.
third book. And now we're going to jump. We are 1500s, 1600s. We're coming to the 20th century.
Mm,
We're going to talk about Los Santos Inocentes, the
yeah,
Holy Innocents, an
yeah.
amazing book by Miguel Delibes.
It's not a religious book.
No, no, it has nothing to
No.
do with religion. Okay, the Holy Innocents has nothing to do with religion. Here, the dates are very important because this book was published in 1981. The date of the publication, 1981, is very important because 1981 is a few years after Franco died. Okay, Franco died in 1975, and in 1981 we had an attempt coup d'état on
Yeah.
February 23rd. We also have
Hmm.
a chapter talking about this.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah.
So it's a moment when Spain, this is the transition of the Spain, but the book dates back to the end of 1950s, 1960s, which is when in the Franco dictatorship, okay, the Franco dictatorship started in 1939 and that lasted until 1975. The first many years, it was a very hard, strong dictatorship. The second part, when this book is set on, it is what we call the soft, so if you can have a soft dictatorship, but it's when Franco is getting older and he's not as repressive. And to understand that Spain today, that moment of the transition in Spain, that this book is fantastic because you have this señorito, this, let's say, lord, okay,
Landlord, yeah, landlord.
landlord, and he has this family who works for him. And the landlord, he's a hunter and he has a lot of money and he can do whatever he wants. But the people who works for him, they have nothing, absolutely nothing.
Well, they are like almost, if not fully illiterate people. They
Oh,
cannot
they're
read.
totally literate. I think one of the daughters, I think, is literate, but they're totally literate. One of the kids, he has some mental issues. He's not 100% normal. So there's so much going on. You see the two Spains, the Spain of people with things and then the other people with no things, nothing. It's a book that, when to me, we always say that Franco died in 1975,
Mhm.
and according to Saturday Night Live, Franco is still dead.
Yeah.
I don't know how many years they kept on saying, and Franco is still dead. To me, although he died in 75, he is not 100% dead yet. We cannot delete from people's minds 50 years of dictatorship, 50 years of repression. So in this book, you see the old Franco way of thinking and the modern way of thinking, much more free. Mm, So to understand this duality in Spain, because I don't want to talk just about politics, okay? Because all around the world now, the extreme right wing is raising dangerously, and in
Yeah.
Spain, the
Yeah.
extreme right wing is growing like incredibly.
Yeah.
Not just politics. I think goes a little bit deeper than that. It's the way we are. We are a very, very free country. Okay, a country where you can do and be whatever you want. But on the other hand, there's like a shadow. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. This is a shadow. I don't want to say controlling, but the society. I mean, you live in a big city like Madrid, where you can be more anonymous. But in my hometown, a small town, 200,000 people, everybody knows everybody. So yes, you can feel free and you can be free, but somebody's judging, somebody's looking. Oh, I saw you doing this. I'm like, okay, and what?
Yeah.
Big deal. So to me, I love this book, The Holy Innocents, because really it represents that this is the beginning of that transition to freedom. But you understand these old values from the dictatorship that obviously in today's brain they're totally wrong, but they still live in Spain.
I totally agree with you, Francisco. I mean, the bigger a city is, the more anonymous you can be, and the more freedom that you have, whatever you want to do. I mean, we're talking about manners, okay? We're not talking about being
We're not
100%
talking about killing
liberal.
people, we're talking about
Yeah, we're talking
regular normal
about that.
things.
No,
Yeah.
no, we're talking about just, but it all depends. Okay, you described perfectly your hometown. Okay,
Mhm.
probably you have never heard about whoever, but I'm pretty sure that in a 200,000 city, a 200,000 inhabitant city, so easy to walk like it is Pamplona. And when there is a nice weather, everybody goes out for just a
Mhm.
paseo. You have probably seen one face more than one time.
Yeah.
Okay, probably. That's for sure. Excuse me. So, uh, what's the difference in a big city? Okay, it depends in the area where you live. Because here in Madrid, if I go downtown to I mean, where I live is considered downtown, but let's say one of the edges of the downtown, okay? So just to the core of the city, to me, walking from where I live is about 30 minutes, which is a nice walk. and if the weather is nice, of course. But I have to pass through a couple of neighborhoods. One of them is a posh neighborhood. It's by the
Hmm.
Retiro Park. It's called the Salamanca neighborhood, not the city of Salamanca, Salamanca neighborhood.
Hmm.
And you can tell that the houses are good, they're in good conditions, and
Very good.
also the prices obviously are extremely high. And just to live in one of the main streets of that avenue, an apartment in tip-top conditions cost you from maybe 2.5 millions.
I would compare the Salamanca neighborhood to the Upper East Side of New York, of Manhattan.
Yeah,
You know, that
yeah, kind
high
of.
end.
Yeah, that's right, that's right. And there is where you can see even the attitude of the people. Okay, even the attitude of the people, and the way they treat the butchers is not with disrespect, but it's like how can I say, like if they
I'm
have,
better than you.
yeah, you are a step below me, and I am your customer. Treat me well because I can pay what you're selling. That's
You
their
know, I
attitude.
never thought about this point, but you're so right.
Yeah,
When you go to Salamanca and you go to a bar, the way the bartender approaches you, it's
to,
totally different because
to
Madrid,
any other way, yeah, to any
it's
other
the
place.
much, to me, Madrid, it's the welcoming city in
Oh yeah,
Spain. I mean, it's
absolutely. Yeah.
everybody's welcome and everybody's great, and you feel like home like instantly. But when you go to these neighborhoods, Salamanca, yes, depending on how you dress, if you're a little bit dressier,
Oh, very
a little
important.
bit more
Very well said. Yeah,
the way you look,
yeah,
if you look more, in the conservative, let's say, like for our listeners to understand, a little bit like Ralph Lauren, that classical, V-neck
yeah,
sweater with a,
yeah,
that look.
yeah,
The waiters approach to you differently.
yeah.
I mean, it's more like, I don't want to say servants, but a little bit like, oh
It's
yes,
almost
are,
just there on that thin line.
yeah,
Okay, that
you're the
yeah,
client,
yeah,
I am serving you.
yeah.
While in the rest of Madrid, it's more like, hey, what's going
Hey, well, hello. How you
on?
doing? What do you
Yes,
want? Come on, quick.
there we go.
I got the
So
customers.
I
Right.
never thought about it, but you're so right. In Salamanca, you feel
Yeah.
that
Difference of level.
double.
Difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
That difference. Yeah.
So yeah, when you go to Madrid, to our listeners, try to go to Salamanca because
To the
go have a
Salamanca
coffee.
neighborhood. Yeah, and you'll find the difference. You'll find
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful part of
Oh,
town.
absolutely. I mean,
I
some of
mean
the
that.
facades, that's so fantastic. And I even have I think I've got like about 130, 140 facades. I call it somewhere in Madrid with Jorge, I think
Corners Madrid or
in Instagram. And most of those facades are from the Salamanca neighborhood in Madrid, which are some of them gorgeous. That's why I always say to everybody, keep looking up because you'll find many surprises. But we are diverting from our topic, which is the book. That book, the Holy Innocents, although it might recall you some kind of religious thing, but it's not. It's just
yeah,
those people that call Holy Innocents because they are innocent people, basic people,
yeah.
good-hearted people. And by saying basic, it's not in a
No,
derogative
no, no, no.
way. It's just because their life
Basic.
is basic. But that's not what I'm trying to say. That is the way. Okay, if you teach something since very little, that this is your life and this is what you're going to be, and there is nothing besides your bubble, you think that that is everything.
Yeah.
So transpond that to the other side, from the negative to the positive, comparing it with a battery, not because of negativity or positiveness. Okay, it's just comparing with a battery from the one pole to the other. So if you transpond those people to the other side, those people that they've been born in a wealthy family and they have gone to good schools, they can even speak a second language, and they can afford to organize a hunting because that is not cheap. There's
Yeah.
good money behind every
Mhm.
hunting. So those people, they take for granted that the basic people, the holy innocents, are those who are there to do whatever they're want to
Yeah,
do
they want to.
at a time, at any time, 24/7. So it is hard to explain this in this way, but at the same time, Francisco, you have portrayed very, very well the two sides of the Spain society at that time in the transition. Still nowadays, there is some shades,
Yeah.
here and there, and crossing fingers because people thinks that I mean, my opinion is that they don't have memory, and the memory is one of the things that we have to keep alive always.
That's one of the big, well, that's a little bit of the topic, but that's one of the big debates about Spain today. And I think it's also worldwide. Should we remove all the Franco monuments? To
Oh yeah,
me,
of course, yeah.
you think you should? I don't. I think we need to keep them. And I need to keep them because they bother me and they burn me inside out. And I want to have a memory because if we don't, I think if we don't see what this guy did, we are doomed to repeat it. I would love to have, I mean, my hometown, we have the Valley of the Fallen, which is the second largest construction by Franco. The first one is the Valley of the Fallen in Madrid,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
outskirts of Madrid. The Valley of the Fallen in Pamplona is a building that is closed, it's horrible, it's fascist looking. To me, what I need, what I would require my politicians to do is put QR codes everywhere to understand what that stands for, what this guy did. So I don't want to take these memories out of the streets because I think it hurts, and I'm happy that it hurts. I mean, I don't know if it makes sense. I hate having them, but we cannot forget that we had that.
It makes sense to you, and I totally understand and respect it. In the other hand, there is how can I put it? There is a way to remember all that, which is the educational system, which is even here in our country is failing nowadays. Because if you get the books, history books, tell me, Francisco, if there is any history books that they talk about Franco and the Spanish Civil War, only the beginning, but nothing while the dictatorship.
But that's
And
the issue. We, in the Spanish
yeah, we're failing
educational
on that. And
system,
many other countries are failing on that.
yeah, I mean,
So
we're talking about Spain. Obviously,
that's
the
why
rest of the world
I
has their
mentioned
own
before
problems
that we need to
with
keep our
these.
memory alive just to know what happened in the past. But it really, really pisses me off a lot. I'm sorry, guys, for my language here. That if I just walk out of my home and I see a memorial to a fascist dictatorship.
To me, a memorial in favor of that has to be removed.
Hmm?
I mean, let's take this out of Germany, for example. Let's put
Yeah.
ourselves in Germany. I would not accept Adolf Hitler memorial, but
Mhm.
I don't want to get the Nazi camps. Delete them because it. I mean, going to Amsterdam and going to the Anna Frank house, it is one of the worst experiences I've ever had. I could not, I cannot take that much hate and pain. I after I've only been able to go once to Anna Frank's house. I struggled for 2 days, but we should not pretend that that didn't exist. It hurts, and we should make all the kids go to the Valley of the Fallen in Madrid and explain what the hell is that. What if you?
They cannot make it now. But we're gonna leave this
I,
how you call it in English, cliffhanger here. And Francisco, please note right now if you have a pen and a paper. This is a wonderful topic
yes, for another.
for one chapter, okay? Because we are
And,
diverting a little bit out of
but
today's
but
topic.
you know, this conversation we just had,
Yeah.
it shows what we're talking about. This book, Franco is not dead yet, because in the moment we start, the two of us talking about it,
Mm.
it, our
Yeah,
blood
I could see your
boils.
veins going
He's like, I'm
swollen up
gonna
here.
Franco, son of a gun. So it is alive. So That's why I think
No, he's not
this
alive.
book,
Thank goodness for
he's
that.
not, thank God, he's not alive. But for some people, his way of thinking is still alive.
Yeah,
So,
and some people they still believe that it's going to come back.
oh, anyway, so for our readers,
Uh,
this is a great, 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 no, our listeners, this is a great book for you guys to read, The
yeah,
Holy
the
Innocent.
only little sense that will give you a perspective of the political transition in Spain and how the good-hearted people at the end goes over the oppressor. Okay,
Okay,
and
and
now the fourth book is not going to go. It's not gonna cover with a silver lining. Is even a more hurtful topic. You say the name, Francisco.
well, the thing is that when we were preparing for this podcast,
Yeah,
the book that we're going to talk, it's called Patria.
Patria.
We said we need to talk about this book, and I told Jorge I cannot talk about this book. Okay. Eh, you have seen what just happened when we talk about Franco. Okay. The two of us were like, "Rrr." This book, Patria, touches way too close to me because it talks about the
The Basque Country.
Basque country. It talks about the separatism and the terrorism. So, Jorge, all for you. The hot potato is for it's on you.
Thank you. Delicious hot potato. Okay. Well, the author is called his name is Fernando Aramburu. The book is being translated to English and it's had a huge hit since the very beginning. It's Patria, Patria, but in English it's called Homeland.
Mhm.
Homeland, excuse me. Well, it covers like about 30 years of the Basque problem. Okay, my apologies to if any of our Basque colleagues, and my apologies to you, Francisco, if that word, the problem, Basque problem,
No, no, it was a problem.
may either insult you or whoever is listening to that. But I mean, when you are in a region and you have some values, you defend them. When those values out of that region becomes or have many collateral effects, then it becomes a problem. Okay, so we're talking about. I mean, in the book, obviously, it talks about someone that works for the local city hall. Is in an imaginary town. The name of that town in the book that it doesn't exist by the name, but is the perfect reality of what was happening in any town in the Basque Country. Well, a person was cheated by the band ETA, okay, and then it was asking money continuously, and then suddenly one day he's killed. He's shot in the head by someone that runs away, and in the town, a very small town, and it's very, very funny what I'm gonna say now. You said earlier in this podcast that when you are in Pamplona, in a small town, you have seen a face at least once in your lifetime. So everybody knows everybody. Imagine the same scenario in an even smaller town, okay? And then everybody knows everything, but nobody says a word. Everybody seems to know who was the shooter, and everybody, of course, knew who was the killed one. And the struggle of the families that they've been living together since they were kids. They grew up all together, and then suddenly one of the descendants get very extremist, and they have their bunch of friends, and they go to certain bars that have that ideology. And then in the other side, you have the people that they hear, but they don't speak. They don't say anything at all. So it reflects a little bit the controversial life and the inner painful time that, especially the widow, that had to go through many, many years. At the end of the first decade of the 2000, the ETA band decided they were going to go political instead of like they were
Terrorist.
considering going guerrilla wars. Okay,
Mhm.
I mean they went all over Spain. The very first time that probably that band internationally was known was in 1974, when here in Madrid they killed in a. It wasn't a car bomb. It was a bomb buried in the street, digging a tunnel for one of the buildings in one of the sides of the street. They dig a tunnel, and with a cable remote, we're talking about 1974 Spain, cable remote, they exploded when the car was driving above the bomb, and they killed what it was, of course, pointed by Franco, the Prime Minister of Spain. His name was Carrero Blanco. So that was the very first time that probably internationally was heard the name of a band. And then for more than 30 years, it was, you know, there with collateral effects, not only in the Basque Country, but also all over Spain. If it was just the beginning of the holiday season, they used to put maybe a bag with a very, very small explosive inside of a touristic resort, and the intention was to scare the rest of the population to go there because they could be anywhere. Okay, and that would damage the local economy. So it was a war like
Mhm.
this, okay, against the political status. Doesn't matter the side of the political spectrum, whether it was right wing or left wing. It was against the state. They wanted independence, but they wanted independence that way. So um, you have to be prepared to read that book. In fact, there is a series of one season, 8 chapters, Francisco.
I don't know. It's a short. It's one of these TV
Yeah,
series that has a beginning
it's
and end,
eight
and it's
chapters.
on and
I've seen
ongoing.
it some time ago. I've seen it some time ago. And hey, guys, it's the reality. It's the
Mhm.
reality of that. What it was happening all over the Basque Country. And now, if you are, let's say, a little bit of a uh, geographical expert or little nerd that you want to know exactly where everything is. When Franco passed away in 1975, in that political transition, we went into what we call a state of autonomies. So there is like states, not really states. We're not a confederation. Okay, it's something different. It's a hybrid in between nothing and
Uh,
and a confederation. But 15 of them are in Spain mainland, in the Iberian Peninsula. One of the others is Balearic Islands, and the other is the Canary Islands. And so you might say, wait a minute, Basque Country is only um, three provinces in Spain, which is Bilbao, Vizcaya, and Guipúzcoa, and then San Sebastian.
no,
I
no.
mean,
Mhm.
and then my answer or your answer, Francisco, would be that the Basque Country, I think that it was named like that just because of a political division of those regions, those autonomies. But in fact, for me, and obviously for you, the Basque is a culture that covers also your hometown, Pamplona, and your region, which is Navarra, and also the three provinces of the southwest of France,
There we
crossing the
go.
Pyrenees. Is that right?
Yeah. So the Basque country is one thing. The Basque land is another thing. One thing is geography. The other thing is culture.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, and as you're saying, this book, Patria, it's it reflects these separatist movements that are in Spain, the Catalans, the Basque, but it talks. That's it. Let's see if you can get it. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Fernanda Aramburu.
Yeah.
It's a very. I cannot talk much about the book because it gets way too emotional. Okay, because really the book talks about my childhood. What is on the book? It's what happened on the streets of my hometown every single
Mm.
day.
Yeah.
It was the fear of somebody being shot, or if you would see a backpack somewhere, get out. There would be, you never knew who was pro ETA, who was against ETA, so that you could not talk. So this silence that is in the book that I think is, to me, the most. You know what's going on, but you're afraid to say, because if you say, then you could be the next one. So nobody would say. So to me, the book, it's a must read to understand this part of the world, the Basque culture, not the Basque culture, but the Basque separatist movement, and how horrible it is, terrorism. So really, it's a book I would recommend you to read. It's strong, it's hard, it's not easy or comfortable book to read. And well, I would love if somebody could read it, because I really, really, really love the book, or watch the TV series, which, by the way, it's on Netflix
Yeah, it's a Netflix production, and I think that now you can see it even in
as
Amazon
well.
Prime. I think
Okay,
it's yeah, I think.
so it's on Netflix.
But anyway, I'm pretty sure in any of these stream platforms you can find it. If you can read the book, much better. I know it's gonna be really hard because
Yeah,
there is a lot of Basques names in it, and Basques names are very
our hell.
unusual. They're very unusual, okay? And and you will get the sense of it. But I have to tell you that these 8 chapters, to me, it was very hurtful to see one after. From minute one is when you're saying, "Oh," now, I mean, it really catch me from minute one.
Yeah,
But then it got to a point when after reading the book, of course, reading the book is learning a lot of things. But watching with images,
the
those
movie.
things that it was real. It was real because of our age. We've lived that, and you, Francisco, especially. And I totally understand what you said at the beginning of the discussion of this book. That it was a little bit hurtful for you to talk about it. Yeah, I totally get it. I'm with you on that. And there was a time halfway through, I cannot remember, it was chapter 3 or 4, when I said, "Oh, it is painful. It's really painful, and it's scratching a lot of things in my inner side." But I just took the strength enough to keep on watching it. Extremely well done. Extremely attitude of the actors, because the character of the Basque people is very, very
Social.
special. I mean, they're beautiful people. They are lovely people. I love them. I have some good friends.
That's me.
No, I mean, but the character, especially when you get into the deep Basque areas,
Yeah,
when you live in a city like you live, Francisco, Pamplona, is considered, let's say, besides Bilbao, maybe the second or the third largest
I
city in the
think we're the
whole
third
Basque
largest.
area.
San Sebastian, we're like so, but yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So especially when you get into the rural areas, even if it's a town with all the services,
Yeah.
you have public services, you have good healthcare, etc., etc. But population is small. Let's say 5, 6, maybe 700 inhabitants. Everybody knows each other, and then that was the problem at the time, that everybody knew everything, but no one dared to say anything at all. But I'm so glad that I finished watching that series. That I totally, totally recommend it. Totally. Yeah.
But the TV series is great. The book is great, really. But please don't think that the Basque Country that now is that. No,
No,
it's a
no.
beautiful
Oh my
place,
goodness. You have
full of
no idea how
food
everything
and
is
happy people,
changed.
and has we have changed big time. Okay,
Yeah,
so please, please, please don't go
absolutely.
with like, oh,
Yeah.
should I go to the Basque Country? It's a horrible place. No, it's a beautiful place. It's
No,
a,
don't think that. Now it's I mean, it has improved so much. Let's say Bilbao with the Guggenheim,
yeah,
Pamplona with the, and some people are against this, but it's, Hemingway put it on the map.
yes.
The running of the bulls,
San
and also the
Sebastian,
Pyrenees, San
Pincho.
Sebastians, and hey guys, if you just want to experience the Basque Country today, the way it is, you'll be extremely surprised. I'm pretty sure that Francisco will be delighted to show it to you in his Basque, well, the Camino tour, and you also have some Basque staycation, don't you,
We do have
Francisco?
a Basque staycation, or we
Oh, there
can
you
have
go.
the Camino that we stay a couple of days in the Basque Country. So if somebody wants to learn about it,
Yes, his website is travelingsteps.es. That's
thank
his
you, Quijote.
website, and there you can see, not only his adventures, it's like Don Quixote de la Mancha as well, you know.
The Quijote of the Basque Country. No. Anyway,
By the way,
Jorge,
you have a statue of Don Quixote and Sancho Panza in San Sebastian.
in San Sebastian, which is the
Yeah.
little replica of the one you
It's a
have in Madrid.
replica of the one in Madrid. That's right. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
blah, blah,
right.
blah.
Yeah. Okay, so 4 books, chicos, out there. Lazarillo de Tormes, Don Quixote de la Mancha, The Holy Innocents and Homeland, Patria in Spanish. We totally recommend you to read these books to get a very, very good insight of what today is our culture. Okay, so
Okay.
of everything. Francisco, I have not much to say after all this. I don't know.
Neither do I. So, what a great pleasure talking about books. We are two big nerds, so we love reading. Well, nothing bad to. Hey, we're proud to be nerds. Yes. Anyway, everybody have a great week. We shall see you next week.
We'll
We
see
love
you
you.
next week. Adios, amigos.
Adiós, amigos.
And as usual, we want to thank all our listeners for being there every week, letting us sharing our talks. Follow us in Spanish Loops in Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite platform.
And in Instagram, you can find us as the Spanish Loops Podcast, no spaces altogether. If you want to find us the quickest way, just Google Spanish Loops Podcast and you will find us. Hasta la vista, amigos.
See you next week.